Imagine for a second that you are holding a vinyl record in your hands.
Like a really old, heavy one.
Yeah, exactly. Heavy, substantial. Maybe the cardboard sleeve is even a little frayed at the edges from just decades of sitting on a shelf.
Oh, I can literally smell that dusty cardboard scent you're talking about.
Right, so you slide the record out, you drop the needle onto the platter, and you hear that unmistakable sound.
That classic crackle.
Exactly. The physical pop, the hiss, that warm kind of low-end rumble of a stylus finding its groove. It sounds exactly like a lost, scratchy artifact from a century ago. You know, like a transmission from a forgotten world.
It's a very specific vibe.
It is. But here is the catch. The record you're imagining right now doesn't exist in the physical world.
Not at all.
And the music you're hearing, the music you would be listening to, was generated by cutting-edge artificial intelligence just days ago.
Which is wild to think about.
It's a total sensory illusion. Basically, you were listening to a ghost that was born yesterday.
That is a fascinating way to put it.
Today, we are tearing apart a project called 𝗬𝗕ᗏ to find out what happens when bleeding-edge AI is used to, well, resurrect a forgotten 1929 silent film.
And we really need to look closely at this because it's completely redefining how we interact with archival media.
Exactly. We're going to unpack whether this is a beautiful act of historical preservation or, something far more complicated. If you're the kind of person who is deeply curious about that exact intersection where high-tech collides with traditional art, you are in the right place for this deep dive.
Absolutely. And just for some context, 𝗬𝗕ᗏ translates from Bengali to something akin to at the end of the road or on the wayside.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a massive release by an entity known as TATANKA. We are looking at a completely new kind of soundtrack here and exploring how modern open-source AI tools are being deployed to reinvent history.
To really understand the sheer scale of this, we have to look at the album itself first. I mean, this is a sprawling 72-minute soundtrack.
It's not just a quick tech demo.
Not at all. It runs exactly 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 33 seconds. In physical terms, that is a double LP.
Wow.
Yeah. And it features 25 distinct tracks with these beautiful Bengali titles tracks like ̗সেপ পুরনো ছবি, Cholanachi, Megarlukachuri, and Agun.
It's a massive, massive undertaking.
Right. But despite being a brand new, pristine digital creation, the entire album is heavily layered with what the credits actually call vinyl SFX.
And the creators are totally transparent about where those effects came from, which is interesting.
Yeah, they didn't hide it.
No, the stylus drops, the scratches, that low-end rumble you mentioned earlier, they were sourced directly from Pixabay.
Really, just downloaded from the internet.
Yeah, credited to specific users like Free Sound Community and Jury. It is entirely 100% synthetic nostalgia.
Okay, let's unpack this because adding fake vinyl crackle to a pristine AI-generated track feels a bit like, I don't know, slapping a vintage sepia filter on a hyper-realistic 3D rendering.
That's actually a great comparison.
Right. Or frankly, like designing a state-of-the-art video game, but programming in film grain and lens dirt to simulate a physical camera that isn't even there.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive.
Exactly. Why go through the immense computational effort to create something completely new and perfect, only to intentionally degrade the audio quality?
Well, the creator of this project, who just goes by the initials JJ, actually addresses this paradox head-on in the liner notes.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they write that the vinyl crackle is, quote, a choice, not an accident, a way of admitting that even a brand new recording can long for a past it never had.
Wait, long for a past it never had? That is surprisingly poetic for a digital project.
Isn't it? It really speaks to a psychological need we have right now. We possess this immaculate, almost sterile, modern technology, artificial intelligence, that is capable of perfect fidelity.
Right, it can sound completely flawless.
Exactly. Yet we are still drawn to the imperfections of the analog era. The scratch of the vinyl gives the AI-generated music a sense of physical weight, and vulnerability.
It grounds it.
Yeah, it's a technological creation yearning for a human kind of authenticity.
But achieving that specific, imperfect analog feel actually required a highly complex, almost chaotic assembly of open-source digital tools.
Although the workflow is wild.
It is. If you look at the technical credits for 𝗬𝗕ᗏ, it reads like a blueprint for the modern digital avant-garde. The software stack explicitly lists Google Flow Music, Claude.ai, ChatGPT, and perchance.org.
A real mix of platforms there.
Right. And they even note that it was edited on an alpha version of Audacity 4 running on a Linux operating system, specifically Ubuntu 26.04.
That specific combination of tools reveals a lot about the mechanism of how this was actually made. I mean, it isn't just one magic button you press.
No, not all.
You have Claude, which might be used to analyze the thematic concepts or, like, the pacing of the film.
Okay, that makes sense.
And you have ChatGPT, likely generating the highly specific text prompts required to describe the music to the audio generator.
Ah, right, the prompt engineering side of it.
Exactly. Then you have perchance.org, which is a random text generator. That introduces a necessary element of controlled chaos and random parameters to surprise the creator.
To keep it from being too predictable, maybe?
Yeah, precisely. Then Google Flow Music is the engine actually generating the audio waves based on all that input.
Got it.
And finally, editing it on an alpha build of Audacity on Ubuntu 26.04. That means they are deliberately working in an open source, community-built environment rather than some closed commercial studio ecosystem like Pro Tools.
Wait, but let's be real here for a second. If your bandmates are Claude and Google Flow Music, and your recording studio is a Linux terminal, are you actually composing music?
That is the big question, isn't it?
I mean, you're just typing instructions into a box. It feels like you are a highly creative project manager, not an artist.
A lot of people feel that way, but look at how the tech stack is credited. The very first tool listed in that software lineup before Google, before Claude, before ChatGPT is the word human in all caps.
Oh, really? Human is listed first.
Yes. In this workflow, AI is acting as a highly sophisticated translation device. Think of it like a universal power adapter for culture.
A universal power adapter. Okay, I like that.
The human JJ has the creative electricity, the emotional intent, and the conceptual framework. But they don't necessarily have the mechanical skill to play the instruments required for this specific sound.
Right, they can't physically play a sitar or something.
Exactly. The AI allows the human to plug that creative intent into a tradition they otherwise couldn't access.
But see, that brings us to the friction at the center of this whole project, because that cultural adapter you just mentioned crosses some major boundaries.
Oh, definitely.
If you're listening to this, you might be thinking, wait, a non-Indian techie using AI to write Bengali-titled music?
It raises some immediate red flags.
Yeah, that sounds like a recipe for cultural theft. We live in an era that is highly sensitive to cultural appropriation, and rightfully so.
Well, here's where JJ is remarkably transparent. In a letter addressed directly to the listener, the liner notes are essentially a confession.
Okay, what do they say?
JJ explicitly states, quote, "I am not an Indian composer or musician. I don't play tabla and I can't write a raga."
Here's where it gets really interesting. We should clarify those terms to understand the real weight of that admission.
Definitely.
A tabla is a highly complex pair of hand drums used in Indian classical music. It requires years, sometimes a lifetime, of physical mastery.
It's an incredibly demanding instrument.
And a raga isn't just, a scale or a melody. It is an intricate melodic framework. A raga often corresponds to a specific time of day, a specific season, or a specific mood. It is a deep, deep cultural artifact.
Right. So by explicitly stating that they do not possess the skills to create these things organically, JJ refuses to romanticize the project as some sort of recovered lost recording.
They aren't trying to trick anyone into thinking they're a master classical Indian musician.
Exactly. They lay all their cards on the table. This radical honesty disarms a lot of the traditional arguments around appropriation because they aren't pretending to be something they're not.
That's a crucial distinction.
It is. They call it an, quote, open homage to a sound and an era I didn't create and can't claim.
They also describe the album as a love letter written in a world language I'm still learning.
I love that phrasing.
Yeah, that framing completely shifts the perspective. It asks us to look at AI not as a tool for digital colonialism or extraction, but as an instrument of cross-cultural empathy.
And JJ writes that generating these songs through this collaborative process with the machine eventually taught them what longing could sound like.
Wow.
Yeah, the technology became a bridge for connection, allowing someone totally outside of a culture to deeply engage with its emotional resonance without claiming any ownership over its origins.
But this music wasn't just generated as some abstract intellectual exercise, though. It was built to serve a very specific practical purpose.
Right, it has a visual counterpart.
Yes, it was designed to breathe life into a piece of visual history that had literally gone silent.
The music is paired with a YouTube visualizer featuring footage from a film called A Throw of Dice.
Okay, tell us about that film.
It's a 1929 silent epic. It was directed by Franz Osten and produced by Himanshu Rai and British Instructional Films.
Picture the scenario JJ describes in the notes, digging through the endless archives of Wikimedia Commons and finding this sprawling 1929 cinematic epic just sitting there on a server.
Just abandoned, basically.
Yeah, and watching it in complete silence, which, as JJ notes, is the way it was never meant to be watched.
That's true. Silent films were never actually silent.
Right. Silent films in the 1920s always had live musical accompaniment, a pianist or a whole orchestra in the theater. The silence is an artifact of decay, not artistic intent.
And because the film is from 1929, it exists in the public domain in India under the 1957 Copyright Act.
What does that mean in practical terms for creators today?
The public domain is essentially a cultural commons. It means the copyright has expired, and absolutely anyone can access it, use it, and remix it without asking permission from anyone or paying licensing fees.
So staring at this silent, flickering footage from nearly a century ago, you can almost feel the shape of a soundtrack rising up before a single note is written.
It just demands music.
It really does. JJ writes, the film gave the music its bones. The music, I hope, gives the film back its pulse.
Now, TATANKA is extremely careful in their disclaimers to clarify that no original soundtrack from the film was used in this new project.
So this isn't an audio restoration project?
Not at all. This isn't a restoration of old audio. It is an entirely new composition, a contemporary musical lens placed over a historical work.
Okay, got it.
And crucially, they have released this new audio work under a Creative Commons Zero license, or CC0 1.0 Universal.
Creative Commons Zero basically means no rights reserved, right?
Exactly.
So they are taking this massive 72-minute project they just spent all this time generating and editing, and they are intentionally waiving their own copyright.
Yes. They are putting their new creation right back into the public domain, free for anyone to use, just like the 1929 film that inspired it.
Oh, that's amazing.
It creates this beautiful, continuous loop of artistic resurrection. Think about it. A filmmaker in 1929 creates a visual masterpiece. A century later, a creator using open-source AI tools finds it, is moved by it, and generates a new soundtrack for it.
And then by using a CC0 license, they place that new work back into the public commons for the next generation to build upon.
Exactly, passing the baton to whoever comes next.
That philosophy of open sharing brings us to the broader entity behind all of this, TATANKA. Father Prantor isn't a one-off experiment, is it?
No, it's just one piece of a much larger, sprawling ecosystem they've built.
If you look at the other projects listed on their platform, the global diversity is frankly staggering.
It really is all over the map.
You have projects like Borderlight, a women's sonic rebellion from Kaliningrad.
Wow.
Then there's an Italian project called Quando Rimane la Notte. You have Eternal Symphony, the star-crossed journey of Kuki and Aurora, and something called Thunder in Her Bones.
The scope is huge.
And the tags on the site reflect this wild, almost contradictory mix of interests. I mean, you see tags for AI innovation, startup, crypto, business.
Which is very tech bro, very Silicon Valley.
Exactly. But right alongside those, you have tags for DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, indigenous, and LGBTQ.
It is a collision of the hyper-capitalist tech world and deeply rooted social justice and cultural movements.
Yep.
And we aren't endorsing any specific viewpoint here, but we're reporting on what the source material presents.
Right. It's just objectively an unusual combination of tags for a single platform.
On the surface, that combination might seem completely disjointed, but scattered across the site are these profound quotes from the Lakota Sioux chief, Sitting Bull.
Wait, Sitting Bull quotes intermixed with crypto and AI tags.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, one quote urges us to, quote, put our minds together and see what life we can make for our children.
That's a powerful statement.
Another welcomes the spring, saying, the earth has gladly received the embraces of the sun, and we shall soon see the results of their love.
Beautiful imagery.
And perhaps the most telling quote talks about the mysterious power of being and how we must yield to our neighbors, even to our animal neighbors, the same right as ourselves to inhabit this vast land.
Those quotes are really the key to unlocking the entire TATANKA philosophy, which operates under the trademarked motto, music meets mission.
So what does this all mean? How do we connect Sitting Bull to AI and public domain films?
By placing Sitting Bull's wisdom next to AI algorithms and crypto tags, they are drawing a direct parallel between the physical landscape and the digital landscape.
Oh, wow. I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, it recontextualizes why they're using tools like Ubuntu Linux and Creative Commons Zero. Ubuntu is a free, open-source operating system built by a global community.
And Creative Commons is a legal framework for sharing art freely.
Exactly. They're applying Sitting Bull's concept of shared land to server space and intellectual property.
That is a wild but honestly brilliant connection. Sitting Bull spoke of yielding to our neighbors the right to inhabit the land. And in the digital age, JJ and TATANKA are using open source software to collaborate across time and cultures. They're taking public domain art, breathing new life into it with AI, and giving it back to the public for free.
It is a literal digital manifestation of putting our minds together to see what life we can make.
We've covered a massive amount of ground today on this deep dive. We started with an illusion, a folder of fake vinyl scratches from 𝗑𝗕ᗕ layered over pristine AI-generated audio.
The ghost born yesterday.
Right. We explored how an alpha version of Audacity and a complex stack of AI tools can serve as a universal power adapter for culture. We waded through the tension of authorship and the radical honesty required for a non-native creator to write a 72-minute love letter to a 1929 Indian silent film.
And we saw how the public domain acts as this community garden where art is endlessly recycled and reborn.
This project fundamentally challenges us to rethink what a creator is, what an instrument is, and how we interact with the silent artifacts of our past.
It really blurs the line between archiving and creating.
It leaves you with a lingering thought, too. We talked about how JJ found a throw of dice sitting silently on a Wikimedia server and felt the music rising up to give it back its pulse.
Right, that instinct to fill the silence.
If artificial intelligence can truly act as this temporal bridge, if it can empower us to reach back into the public domain and touch historical artifacts, we otherwise wouldn't have the technical skills to interact with what else is out there.
That's the exciting part.
What other forgotten pieces of human history, what silent films, what lost poems or dormant stories are just waiting on a cold server right now, hoping for someone to dream up a new soundtrack for them? Next time you hear the pop and crackle of a vinyl record, ask yourself, are you listening to the past, or are you listening to the future trying to remember it?